Hi guys, Andy N, spoken label on a Monday night today. Yeah, the night of the week knackers me out, but it's always great. So I've got a dear friend of mine, Amanda's with me today, and this gentleman lives about 10 minute drive from us as well. So we probably could have met him in a pub to do this, but anyway, we've got the fantastic Roy Page with us today. Now we know Roy really through he's been a regular on Night and Speakeasy, but he does so many other nights, and as you'll soon find out shortly. He's an incredibly busy man, and he just bought his debut collection out as well, Fifties Child. So, Roy, obviously, to start off with, mate, then, tell people
Hello.
a little bit about yourself. The people obviously will soon find out you're not originally from the Denton area, are you? From Salford originally, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I started life in Salford and in a little terrace street like everybody else. In the 50s, I'm a 50s child. That's the name of my book, and it left a lot of memories from them days. But anyway, a bit later on, when we were about 10 or 11 years old,
Hmm.
all those houses got knocked down, if you like. A lot of them houses got knocked down, and they moved us away onto council estates. But just briefly, I went back when I started work. I went back to Salford and started working as a driver's mate round the
Oh,
dock
yeah.
area. Yeah, round the dock area, and then eventually got a HGV license and worked in that area for 20 years. So I saw all the changes over the 70s, 80s, 90s. Saw how it was and how it is today. So really, that's why I can write a lot about it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's simply down to facts because it's what I love about your pieces, Roy, and then what you'll hear, the people hear is in the second half is the vividness in it. Because you're correct. They always say with writing, you write what you know. And your
yeah,
stories are like some of the most vivid things I've really ever heard in a long time in the poetry side of things.
yeah.
So, when did you
Sorry.
first start writing? Did it come to you later in life, or have you always been writing?
Yeah, no, listen, I'm not an academic or anything. I failed me 11 plus, to be honest with you, when I was a
Oh, did you?
kid.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. So it's just as time went by, as I got towards retirement, uh, I started doing a little bit of poetry. My brother started doing a bit of poetry, and I just copied, followed
Oh,
on from him. Found I could do it.
oh,
To be honest
whoa.
with you, like if somebody's having a birthday that you write a little poem about, and because the fact that you know people, you know them, you know the things that
Mm.
they've done, and so I've done a lot of that, and then I just got onto this theme about writing about the old days, and it took it from there really. Probably about 8 years now. I'm
Wow.
retired now, so probably
Happily.
about
People notice words happily retired as well. I think you've told me
I am
several times, haven't you?
yeah,
Yeah.
happily retired. Yeah, only 1 year, but yeah. And when I go on holiday, I kind of take my books with me, and you get a chance to relax, don't you, when you're
Yeah.
on holiday, and you think more. So yeah, yeah. That's really basically about 7 or 8 years I've been doing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Have you found, and do you reckon, has your work changed much over the 78 years you've been writing, really?
I think so. Yeah, I don't think I'd have been able to do this, because like I said, I'm not really an educated person, but because of the tools that you've got these days, the spell checks and all that
Mm.
sort of stuff,
Oh, God, yeah.
you can correct yourself. You can do it, can't you? And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, need that, and so I've gotten onto a lot of that sort of stuff, and it works for me. And obviously, I'm not stupid, but I'm just not educated, if you like.
No,
I'm
what you
quite,
do, you write from the heart, mate, and that's what I think great about your work because it's people
yeah.
you can really
I
vividly come alive. So your book's
think it,
great. The book's great.
thank you. But getting into this poetry world, it's a
Mm.
vast, it's a lot of different types of stuff, as you know. You see a lot of people they don't. I rhyme my stuff, but I know you don't, Andy, and other people they do it different ways.
Yeah, yeah,
And
no,
it
no.
took me a few years to actually get into it and adapt, and I'm really enjoying it now. It's a real good thing to sort of come in my at this time of my life,
Yeah, yeah.
at the retirement end. I'm enjoying it. I think I can do it okay. So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
great. You're great to watch, and your book's great, man. So, 40. people will obviously know it because there's a little musical instrument at the back of you on the camera here today as well, which is great, really. So I can ask you about your music as well, because I
Yeah,
know you've got a band going, it's in rehearsals at the moment, and you've been in other bands over the years as well, haven't you? So
yeah, yeah, just like rock and roll stuff, we've actually I've been in about two or three bands over the last 20, 30 years, really, just singing and strumming a few chords, playing harmonica, and pretty much enjoyed that side of things. COVID's obviously, like everything else, got in the way a little bit. So we were up and running as a band called Diversion just before COVID, and it came to a stop like anything else. Everything had to be put away. And it's hard to get everybody back together again now. So we're in the throes of doing that. And you keep looking, because I'm 60 odd now, I look at myself and I think, oh, how long am I going to be doing this for? So you panic a little bit, but I think I'll carry on for a little bit longer, strumming the guitar, and, yeah.
no, I can't blame you. It's great because I've seen your videos of Diversion and brilliant, and I hope to see you live with your new band or if Diversion even come back. So, but I said it's great stuff indeed, well worth checking out. Now I'm going to ask you, going to the last part of this now. I want to talk about a couple of your pieces in your local collection, if you don't mind,
Yeah,
do you? Right.
yeah,
The one that they're all great stuff. These, but there's two of them I want to ask you about particularly. And because I've heard the story about this one, and people should hear this. Is first of all Buffalo Bill's Wild West show.
yeah.
What's
That's
about
it.
that? Because obviously I know where Buffalo Bill is or was, but I didn't know he's come to Manchester, mind you. So which is fantastic to
Yeah.
hear.
So a lot of people don't know about that, but in the 1800s, Buffalo Bill came to well, he toured the world, to be honest, with his entourage, with his Indians. A lot of the Indians that came were on the run from Little Bighorn, and they came over. And there's loads and loads of stories in the archives about Buffalo Bill bringing his troops over. I think they came over to London first, and then they made their way up to Salford, and they stayed for 5 months in the 1870s, I think it was.
Oh,
And
whoa!
if you think about it, in those days, you have to think about it. In those days, it was before they ever built the Manchester Ship Canal, and it was actually they set up their showground on the land that is the docks now, but wasn't then. And it was a proper poor, obviously poor town, Manchester and Salford. And it makes you wonder how people knew about it, because in the 1880s, they didn't even have radios in their own houses, did they?
Oh, the one, of
If
course,
you think,
yeah.
if you think about it, I mean, when we were kiddies growing up in the 50s, there was cowboys and Indians on TV, black and white, obviously, and so we saw all that. We used to play in the streets as cowboys and Indians and stuff, but in the 1880s, there was none of that. It was all done by posters and hearsay and stuff. Anyway, he toured the world, Buffalo Bill. A lot of people might know about this, but Salford was one of the first places. So I gathered all the information up, like you can do these days, and I wrote a poem about it. Yeah, so it's in the book.
Yeah.
Buffalo Bill in the book. Yeah,
Yeah, we'll get you to read that second half because I didn't
yeah,
really
yeah.
like that piece. So I'm a big American West buff. So when I first heard that, I didn't know the story about him being in Salford. So
Okay, yeah.
the one I want to touch on is your Uncle Terry's American car as well, which I've also heard you do before now as well.
Yeah.
Tell us the story about your Uncle Terry in this car, then.
So this little book that I've got out at the moment, there's a picture on the front page, and
Oh,
that's the actual street that I lived in.
oh, whoa!
And
I was wondering that. Oh,
yeah,
brilliant.
so that's the actual street I lived in. And if you
Hmm.
look at the bottom there, that's the docks. You can see the docks from the bottom of the street.
Oh, yeah.
And I mentioned that in one of my poems, Docks and Keys. And where the picture's taken from, my nana and granddad, my granddad lived there at that house. And I remember when I was a little boy, my uncle Terry, my dad's brother, he had an American car, a big black American car, with the wings on the back and
Oh,
everything.
whoa.
And
Yes.
it makes you think, how the hell, well, obviously in them days, I just thought it was amazing. But I'm looking back now, thinking about it now, there was no cars about, and he had a big black American car, and it always stuck in my mind. So I wrote a poem about it. You know,
Oh,
like
brilliant. Yeah. I mean, it's like you said for the Buffalo Bill thing before, because you're looking back at those days, aren't you? That sort of car like your uncle had, basically nobody else would have had in the area, really, because it probably cost him a fortune to get it imported over here.
yeah, he was a bit of a teddy boy. You know, he was a young
Oh
fella. Yeah,
God.
he
Oh
was.
God, yeah. One of my uncles was a teddy boy, yeah.
He was a young. I think he had a lot of money because he was like he was an electrician. And he was a young fella, so he was earning money. No wife or anything. So I think he just, you know, he could have do it. He could afford it. Yeah, there wasn't money about it in them days. I tell you.
Oh no,
So
yeah, no, my mum and dad both from that era, and yeah, but my dad's told me that, and my mum has as well. They both, it was a real struggle in times. It was straight
yeah,
away. So
yeah. But I only stayed in that street about what 7 or 8 years. But it just brings back so many memories. You know, nobody had anything, but it was like happy days. It must have been because I can't think of anything bad about it. You know.
yes, well, I said, you know what, I'm a '70s child, and I'm the
Yeah,
same. I grew up in the '70s. We never had much challenging. My mum and dad and me,
yeah, yeah,
my brother and sister on top of it. We were the same, but we were happy, and it's society
yeah,
has changed a lot over that. To be honest, yeah. There's
yeah.
sometimes it's consumerism problem.
Thing is, everybody's. That's one of the things I say in the book. Everybody's got everything now, haven't they? But are they any happier? You don't know, really, do you? So are they? You know, maybe people have too much these days. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. It answers questions straight away. Now,
Yeah,
I want to obviously ask you then, first of all, then, obviously, onto your book, talk about your book.
yeah.
What made you want to bring the book out now then? Was it, obviously, I know you just retired. Was that where you had time to think about this more? You thought that was the direction you wanted to go?
It was a well, the publisher. I can't remember the name now. You know the name, don't
Yeah,
you?
Little
Oh,
Gem, is it Little Gem?
Little Gem.
Little
Yeah,
Gem Poetry Press, yeah.
yeah. Well, I've done a couple of bits for them in the past
Hmm.
on the Manchester anthologies, and so I've got their emails and stuff. And just before Christmas, they were saying they was encouraging people to put a little book out. So I rushed it together. I got a few poems together and rushed it together.
Hmm.
And that's why I didn't get it through for Christmas. Obviously, I couldn't. It was there was no time. It was a bit late. I was gonna. It was one of those like offers where buy so many books and give them out for Christmas, if you like.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I've always wanted to put a book together, and this was the easiest. Not the cheapest way, but it was the easiest way to do it at the time. So I threw a few poems together. They only wanted 15 or 16 poems, so that was I could do that anyway. You know.
Yeah, yes, it's gorgeous. People are wondering, obviously, look on the camera now. I've got the little book in front of me, and Roy has as well. Roy can show his copy as well. He's got left as well. But it's like a little, I think it's A5 copy, A5 size, or maybe A6 even. But it's gorgeous. Lovely little thing. So yeah. That is
But
that, yeah.
it was in. I could theme it. You see, you know, it wasn't like
Hmm.
it's the theme of. I could put 16 poems together with the same theme, if you like. So that's what I wanted to do. That's my first, anyway.
Yeah, yeah, no, straight away. And it's fantastic, like I said with that. So do you think you want to do a second collection, Roy, or you're not sure yet?
Oh yeah, I do because I planned to do another book now, but take my time with it and put some more, make it a little bit bigger. And I want to illustrate my own book as well this
Oh, do
time.
you do illustrations? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
yeah. I've always been a bit of a drawer, but I'm learning to paint at the moment. That's one of the things I'm doing,
Oh,
is paint.
brilliant.
So that's my next plan. I want to do that. Probably won't theme it this time. I'll just random poems, um, different things, but make it a little bit bigger. Take a couple of years probably, but I've got the time now, and that's my plan. Yeah.
Oh wow! No, I did not know you were a painter. Oh, wow, is that something? Is that have you just started that as well? Then have you
I've
painting?
just started an art course just to learn how to paint. I've always been a bit of a drawer.
Hmm.
I worked for I don't know if I can mention the AA or not. I worked for the AA for
Always
20.
mention them. Don't nothing to hide here, mate. Right? They got my
Yeah,
philosophy is you retired, so unless you
yeah.
start bad mouthing them, they can sue you.
No, no, uh, no bad memories really. You know, I worked for them for a few years, but everywhere I've been, I've done cartoon work for people. For you know, I did a bit for the AA and got
Hmm.
involved in a little bit of that sort of stuff. So I can draw. I've always been able to draw since I was a little boy, but I've always wanted to learn to paint, because that's, excuse the pun, but that's an art in itself, learning how to put paint to paper. And that's going to be a challenge, designing my new book. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it will be. You think really with all the people wondering, I'll tell you, notice you're an incredibly creative man in all kinds of fields, and I could do several fields myself. But do you find when you move from one to another, you're flicking like a different switch in your brain, really, aren't you? I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's so enjoyable, isn't it? I kind of find it enjoyable. It's difficult to play an instrument, isn't it? And you've got to apply yourself. You've got to put a little bit of work in. And it depends how much work you put in, whether how far you get with it. Same with everything. Same with I've started this art course and I'm enjoying it so much, but it's so difficult. It is difficult, to paint and draw, and the same with the poetry. So yeah, you've just got to put a little bit of work in, and you get your results.
Oh, completely, man. I agree. I think you're right, because that sort of thing where you might get some setbacks to start off with it.
Yeah.
But I think when you train yourself to do master one thing, it makes you more single-minded, to want to carry on doing stuff straight away with that. Oh, excellent, mate. Good luck. Definitely, mate. Now, obviously, we'll start wrapping up this point now, because I want to give you a chance to read out a few poems for us. But first of all, then, obviously, if people want to get hold of this book, where do you recommend they go?
Well, I don't really. I mean, I can give my email address out, or and people that have to Facebook me. I think I'm on Facebook, and people will just have to get me through Facebook, really, and then I can private message people if they want a copy of the book, or I've been getting rid of several copies at a time, because people that relate to it want to share it with the family. It's that kind of thing, you see.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's a real memory book of a certain area. Yeah, agree.
Yeah, really through Facebook. I'm not really technically minded that way, but maybe when people see this blog, they can get in touch with me. Can I give my email address?
Love you to. Yes, please. Yes, please.
So it's Roy Page 56@hotmail.co.uk.
Tremendous, yeah. Well, check it out. Honestly, I'm not a person that says it's blindly. This is a fantastic label. I love it. A lovely gentleman. It's a lovely book as well. Yeah. Before we wrap up, Roy, I think we should really give a plug out to Pauline Town over the station, because I think you deserve to tell people what you've done with your first run of your book as well. Yeah.
So Pauline, a lot of people know Pauline for the work that she does at the Station Hotel in Ashton-under-Lyne in Manchester. She looks after and feeds the homeless. I don't know if she can call it a charity or not. I'm not sure whether that's whether she can or not. But she collects food and feeds people every single day of the week, hundreds of people. And so I go down to she also does a poetry night at the end of every month, and she's a lovely person as well. And I go down and do my poetry at the end of the month, as much as I can. And so with the proceeds of the first 50 books, which have gone now, I donated the money to Pauline to do what she wanted to do with the charity work that she's doing. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, no, it's tremendous thought, mate. So, okay, on that note, we'll wrap up part one, and we shall be back, everybody, in a few minutes when Roy's going to do a number of pieces from this book for us. And see you all 2 minutes.